You are now listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Podcast.
Welcome to Ride With Me. Today is July 19, 2020, 8:28 a.m. This is episode 12, take two. I say take two because yesterday's episode was chopped up, and when I was trying to edit, there was a bunch of mistakes and little cut. So I had to ask my buddy Erik to come back. Sorry, Erik.
It's all right.
Let's start off with yesterday's conversation all over again. I met Erik at a fantasy football league that my Uncle Roy has once a year. We do the fantasy football. They go all out, man. I've never seen someone. I mean, I've done fantasy football leagues with other people, but it's just like, okay, pay me through Venmo, and okay, everybody draft at your own house and through your phone or your iPad or whatever. But then we go to Uncle Roy's house, and they have, magazines and freaking everyone has tablets, and they have the board on the wall, and they go all out, man. So ever since that, I'm like, nah, I don't want to be on your league today. I'm gonna stay to this one.
A spread of food.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So no, I'm gonna stick around over here.
Yeah.
A couple weekends ago, I had a call from Joseph, which is Uncle Roy's son, the same guy that threatened to bury me in the desert, that he tells me that I should have you on. Hey, you should have this guy on, and we'll get to that, why we should have you on. So I was like, all right, man, I don't care, man. I'll have anybody on. I'll have anybody on that wants to give a positive message or their, story or whatever.
Right.
But I do like yours because it's going to take us back in time. But before we get into all that good stuff, let's get to know Erik.
Well, I am from Inglewood, more or less. That's where I grew up for the most part. Lifelong Los Angelino, Laker fan, Dodger fan. Ain't much to it. I love LA.
So speaking of the Lakers, Kobe.
God rest his soul.
Dude, I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
I'm sorry, and everyone else that was on that helicopter. So.
Yeah, of course. You're right.
Yeah.
My bad. But no, you're right. No, you're right. Everyone that was on the helicopter is it's horrible. Kobe, man, he's still missed by many.
Yeah, that's one of those things where I'm going to remember where I was when I...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was in the backyard about to start chopping the grass and everything, and my wife tells me, hey, did you hear Kobe died? And I'm like, it doesn't click in.
Yeah.
So we whacked the grass. An hour later, I'm listening. Now I'm starting to get all the updates on iHeartRadio, and Kobe died, and Kobe. Now I'm sitting down. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So that sucks.
I was out doing Uber, and I got a notification from TMZ.
Yeah.
And when I'm usually driving, or when I'm getting a notification, sometimes I'll just brush
ignore it. You're driving.
And I just pulled down, looked, and said, Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I read the story, and it's like, yeah, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash in such. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That sucks, man.
Fuck? Yeah.
First time we went to Oxnard after he passed away on the way back, you can see the hillside where he passed.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to you, bud.
Yes,
so LA all your life, Laker fan. Anything else? But what do you do for a living?
I work security at a hotel, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's a drag.
Is it the same hotel that Joseph works at?
Exactly.
So he's is he like a upper management?
He was.
He
was my manager, but
at one point.
Yeah, but I don't listen to people, so I didn't listen to him. I listened to the other dude we worked with. That was my manager, so. And Joseph will tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. I wish he was here, man. We would have asked him about him trying to bury me in the desert. And so, kids, wife.
No kids, no wife. I should be married.
You should.
Yes, I was afraid.
You were afraid.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, bro. They cook for you. No, I'm playing. Babe, I'm playing. Babe, fuck, I better watch what I'm saying. Babe, I'm playing.
Well, she does cook for me. She's technically a chef.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she should have a restaurant or something where her mother can cook. Like, she catered her aunt's whole wedding.
Okay.
By herself. Like, she did all the cooking for her aunt's wedding. So
nice. That's cool, man.
She is one hell of a cook.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, no kids?
No.
What's up with that?
Like I said, I didn't want to have kids until I got married.
Okay.
One. And also, like, she's the one I should have, like, you met her.
I met her at Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's the one I should have married.
Okay.
We'd still be married to this day if we had gotten married.
Oh, okay.
So we broke up and we've remained friends, But even though I do refer to her as my wife.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's cool, bro.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, that's cool. I mean, if you can end a relationship in a positive way, or at least not as hectic as mine was,
Right.
you're good. You should be good.
We didn't, but for some reason we always find ourselves back to each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I mean, what works out at the end. What do you call it? What was I gonna ask? I noticed in your car you have a like Uber sticker.
Mm-hmm.
We went to go get donuts. For you, Officer Ricky, donuts. So you do Uber on the side?
Yeah.
How's that?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I've never had a problem with any of my passengers or anything like that, but because of COVID-19, I haven't been picking people up. I've only been doing Uber Eats.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the same money.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
So
And no random person is sitting in your car.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I've had no problems with any people. Like whenever I pick people up, drop off, all that stuff, never once had a problem, an issue.
Okay.
Well, take that back. Except for one lady, and she was bothered because I was in this one place where it's a little difficult to figure your way around.
Right.
But other than that, nothing. Nobody threw up in my car. Nobody took a dump in my car. Nobody tried to have sex in my car. No, nothing. I've never had a problem.
That's cool. No shows then, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. What makes Erik Erik? I mean, I met you. My kids met you at the Super Bowl thing, and I mean, you're cool guy. I mean, you're here. Obviously, you're here in my house. That's the one thing I'm very cautious of who I bring into my house.
Right.
And you made the cut.
Yeah. You want to have any kind of crazy ass people around your kids?
No, I try to be cautious.
Yeah, exactly.
But like again, I like right now they ask me who's coming back, Dad. I'm like Erik. You met him yet? You guys met him at the Super Bowl, and you guys saw him yesterday. Oh, okay. And when they say, not that guy, then sorry, but I gotta.
Yeah,
totally
understandable.
We have to record from your house.
Yeah.
So what makes Erik Erik?
Some people will be surprised to find out that I'm an introvert.
I don't even know what that is. Go for it.
I'm one of those people that I can stay in the house all day.
Same here. Okay.
I can just sit in the house all day.
Same here.
And I can go to a party and not talk to anybody. I can just sit in the corner and observe.
Really?
Yeah.
You're like the creeper guest. You could be the
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I was told that from last Friday after I was drunk. They're like, he was just sitting on the sofa with that glare look in his face. Like, hey, go to bed, dude. Go to bed. Go to bed. My wife was telling me that yesterday. They were talking about me. I'm like, oh, come on. It sounds embarrassing.
Yeah.
But okay, so you just, and not antisocial, obviously, because you're here socializing.
Right.
But just at a party.
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm like that. I'm the same way sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on whose party we're going to.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, I'll sit in the corner. What got you into security?
Every job I had up until this one was a driving job.
Okay. Driving trucks, rigs?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, well, eventually I got there. So I worked
okay.
at Super Shuttle, which rest in peace, for 10 years. There's a funny story with that. I got hired on my birthday. 10 years later, I got laid off on my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, they went to owner, operator, and lease drivers.
Okay.
And so they just got rid of us like at that time. So birthday 1993, I get hired. Birthday 2003, hey, we're letting you guys go.
93? I'm 11. I'm 11 at 93.
Yeah, oh, bro, you see these gray hairs in this tree?
Dude, I'm catching up. Check this out.
So I was driving trucks for about a year, and then I got fired.
Okay.
So my aunt goes to me like, well, you need a job where you could just go sit down and not do nothing. So I'm like, and she was like, oh, well, your cousin, he works in security. He works for such and such a company. Maybe you should go to apply. And she also told me how much he made. And at the time, he worked over on the west side. And over there, you can make a lot of money working security because it's like all these really like entertainment studios, and they don't like their stuff getting out.
Okay.
So they pay a little extra for their security.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and he said all he did was just sat in like a booth and watched DirecTV all day.
And got paid.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I ended up in security.
That's how you ended up in security.
Yeah.
All right.
I do plan on going back to my career though.
Which is driving?
Yes.
Dude, I'm just in the sales part of what I do for my company, but the drivers they make some cash, man. They pay them nice. I mean, was it New Year's Eve at 11:45? One of my drivers texted me layers, and like I didn't get home till like 12:45, so I texted him back like, what does he mean the layers? in our company, layers just means that I write my orders where they're perfectly layered on the pallet,
Right.
so it's just easy for them to stack it. So because of layers, I helped him make $100,000 a year
Damn.
for 2019.
Damn.
So those little extra cases, if I'm gonna send him 7, just send him to 9, send him to layer. You know,
Damn. I
it adds.
could be doing that right now.
It adds up, dude.
Wow.
And yeah, they're he's very happy with me as a salesman because it helps his paycheck. I was like,
Yeah.
layers. I'm like, so we go to company picnics and they tell my wife, oh, this guy is amazing and he's awesome salesman.
Yeah.
My wife's like, I like hearing stuff like that. And I mean, obviously it shows with my employee of the year.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. They do make money. Drivers do make money.
Yeah.
They try to convince me to try to do the same thing, but I don't see myself driving a big car, dude.
Yeah, because the company I went with, I did my training through them.
Yeah.
And they take you out to Arizona, put you in a hotel, and you do all your training with them, but you have to pay them back, which was like $3,900. So every week when you would get paid, they were taking out their little cut.
Oh,
So
okay.
once I got fired, and I think, how long did they do that for? About 13 months, I think it is, or something like that. So once I got fired, I still had to pay them back. So I'm having to write a check or send a money order or something to make sure I pay them back.
Once a month.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth it because now I have a commercial driver's license. So
Right.
now if I had stayed on, I would have had the experience to maybe come back home and, let's say, drive a bus or drive for Bevmo. I mean, for your company.
Yeah.
So, or something like that and make $100,000
After
like
the
that
podcast,
guy.
after the episode, after we're done recording, I'll give you the link and just check it out once in a while and see if they have a driver opening. Because the company I work for does continue to take over more and more territories.
Oh, damn.
Just in the past 2 years, they took
Yeah.
over 11 more territories.
Wow.
When I tell people they should come work for our company, I don't say it because I work for them. I
Yeah.
say it because they're taking over
They're
the
expanding
world.
rapidly.
They're expanding big time.
Wow.
Again, as of Friday, we now have the rights to sell Smirnoffs and Guinness because
Yeah.
we always sold was what you see behind you: Modelo, Corona, Pacific, all my repack, all my work stuff.
Damn.
That's all we sold. But as the company expands,
Yeah.
now we have the rights to sell the Diageo portfolio, which is again Smirnoff,
Wow.
Guinness, Smithwick, which is all the, like I got beer in my car. I got like 12 6-packs in my car. I have no use for them. It's company's growing, man.
Damn.
Company's growing. So yeah, I'll give you the link after this so you can look it up. And we have the closest warehouse to you because you live in LA
Bellflower.
would
Close
be
enough.
would be the Santa Fe office, which is in Santa Fe Springs.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that link. But you seem like a positive guy. What makes you positive guy, man?
I being an introvert or being an Aries, if you're into astrology, I have a tendency to be a little bit moody. So one day
Super Bowl, you were pretty chatty, bro. So you weren't moody on the Super Bowl.
that's because that's my Niners, and
That's
I was
right.
looking for them to win.
That's
And
right.
For y'all that don't know, he's a Cowboys fan.
Oh yeah, my bad.
You can feel sorry for him.
Oh.
Jerry continues to find ways to mess that up.
Oh yeah.
I have a tendency to be a little bit moody, so I can be quiet 1 minute, and then the next minute you can't shut me up. Or I could be happy 1 minute, and the next minute I could be just in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Little kind of like a bipolar in a sense.
Yeah.
So, but I've grown out of that.
Yeah.
And to think more positively and be more positive. And it took a long time to get there, just believe me.
Dude, exactly. Just 9 years ago, I was homeless.
Yeah.
And that's at I believe it was 2010, 2011, when I finally said enough. And I'm going to cut out all negativity from my life.
Right.
And that was, my mom was one of them. The mother of my kids was number 2. And then just negative friends that you don't know. Like again, back to almost being homeless. I had a buddy of mine that would put a bed in his kitchen so I can stay in his kitchen. So there is good people out there. At the moment, I was just focusing on all the bad people, all the negative people.
Right.
I had a buddy of mine that would drive to Oxnard just to check on me.
Damn.
Just to make sure that I was okay because I was going through some horrible times. So I cut off negativity, and just little by little, I at one point I lost everything. Again, going to being homeless.
Yeah.
little by little, the moment I started cutting off negativity, little by little, I got a job. Then I wasn't walking anymore. I was able to ride the bus. And then from riding the bus, I was able to buy a bike, rode the bike. Then after that, I bought my little 95 Honda Civic that didn't work, but I bought it that way.
Damn.
But my buddy Frank helped me rebuild the engine or the transmission, whatever he had to do to make it run again. Wow. So then I have my little Honda Civic.
Yeah.
They called it, who called it a Christine or something like that? Is it a horror movie?
Yeah.
They called it, an old boss called it Christine. And that's how messed up the little car was. But it did what it had to do.
Right.
It purpose from A to B. Exactly. Again, little by little, got my license back, got my apartment, got back on my feet.
Right.
And it all started with eliminating negativity.
Right.
We go back to, seeing the way that you see things now in positive ways, and there's no need to hold grudges, and
right.
And back to the mother of my kids, she can, run her mouth till this day and tell the kids horrible things about me, where I have to explain myself to my kids now.
Yeah.
And the old me would have gotten out of the car or gone over there and blown up her phone or whatever and be like, what the hell, man? And just cuss her out over the phone.
Right.
The new me won't do that. And it kills me. So sometimes I got to tell my daughter, Mija, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. It pisses me off. And I can't call her to tell her off. Because not only is she going to give me a hard time, when you get home, she's going to give you a hard time for telling me anything.
Right.
Yes, eliminating negativity is a positive thing, man. It does. It changes everything. Again, going from being homeless to, I don't own the house, but
you have a house.
It's a nice house.
Yeah, very
nice size house. Now I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Uncle Roy. Back to Uncle Roy is the one that said, "Hey, you've had this life. Why don't you talk about it?" And last night we were watching Joe Dirt because my buddy kind of referenced my idea of the podcast as the Joe Dirt story. And we're laughing at the movie, man. And I was like, but I'm not. They're making fun of him.
Yeah.
People are laughing with me. That's the difference.
I've never seen it.
Joe Dirt.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's David Spade.
Yeah.
It's funny. So again, just eliminating negativity. It's the key, man.
Yeah.
Little by little, you get everything back. Again, didn't have my license. I got my license. Didn't have my car. I got a car.
Yeah.
I've even squashed things with my brother.
Right.
You heard episode 10, right?
Yeah.
I've squashed things with my brother, and I told him if I can have a conversation with the mother of my kids about the kids peacefully, then I should be able to have that same conversation with you, who you are my blood.
Right.
And we hugged it out. Hey, you actually did me a favor. Your guys' marriage. I thanked him. I'm like, your guys' marriage helped me get custody of my kids, so I thank you.
Wow.
The funny thing about that is that my little one didn't understand why his mom's ex-husband was at my mom's house. He didn't know.
Yeah.
He just like, what's going on? And why is my dad hugging this guy?
Yeah.
We had to explain to him that was my brother. His response was priceless. He was like, ew, that's disgusting.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one thing I never want to put my kids through again. Something like that, where they have to say that's disgusting. Or
so she broke up with you, and her broke up, and then she got with your brother and her.
No, she cheated on me with my brother.
Wow.
Years later, they bumped into each other again, and they got married. Her words, she only did it to piss me off. That action gave me custody of the kids. Speechless. You're just shaking your head, bud. People can't see shaking your head.
It's something to process. Like what kind of childhood did this poor woman have?
Again, different conversation. She needs to learn how to remove negativity from her soul so that she can become a better person.
Yeah, there's a comic on Instagram, and he has a hashtag, "Who raised you?"
Yeah.
So I would just look at her and be like, "Who raised you?" Like.
So that's why I wanted my kids away. I noticed that my kids were being brought up similar ways to how I was brought up.
Yeah.
So I was going to court, and the only thing that helped me was their marriage, and then a very pricey lawyer and a very pricey private investigator. Ian Tossing, you the man? He's a good guy, man. He's on episode. He was well worth it. He's on episode 9 if you want to catch up to that one. So now, to why we're here, I get a call, or why you're here, I get a call from Joseph stating that you actually lived through the Rodney King riots.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
Googling. I tell my wife asks me, hey, why is Erik coming over on the podcast? And I said, well, he lived through the Rodney King riots. The look on her face was like, who's Rodney King? Rodney King is the George Floyd of the 90s. And she's like, are you serious? Yeah, she didn't know.
Much.
So I myself didn't know much about the Rodney King case. I just knew about the fires.
Right.
And the riots. I was 10 years old.
Right.
All I knew was half of LA was on fire.
Yeah.
It looked like hell, pretty much.
Yeah.
And when this thing's going on a few months ago with the LA riots, my sister-in-law, who's LAPD, we're having a conversation, and my response to her was, "But at least there's less fires," and it was bad.
Yeah.
So I had to explain to my wife that Rodney King was I think he was in his 20s, 25-year-old guy who, yes, he was under the influence. He must have been drunk. Went on a high-speed chase on the 210 freeway. When he was finally pulled over, he was pretty much beat up to a pulp.
Yeah.
He was already surrendering. I showed her the video on YouTube. And that's the one thing she noticed. His arms were stretched out. Like, okay, like, arrest me. And the cops were still going at it.
Right.
And they were hitting him and beating him. There was a guy filming. Back then, there's no cell phones. No. So for this guy to react and get his video camera right away and filming it from his balcony was like, he changed things. That was quick action. I think the guy's name is, what was his name?
I think it's George Holiday.
George Holiday. Yep, there it is. Yeah, he filmed it, and it was all over the place. But what pissed people off was the fact that when it was time to convict the police officers, it was 4 of them, they were found not guilty.
Yeah.
And that's what pissed people off.
The first thing that pissed people off is that they moved it to Simi Valley.
What?
Yeah.
It's LA County.
Yeah, no.
So now Ventura County is doing
They moved it to Simi Valley, and Simi Valley was a community full of police officers and retired police officers and stuff like that.
Ian tossing this in Simi Valley, so I believe you. I believe you.
So that was the first thing that pissed people off. Also, what had people pissed off was a young lady, Latasha Harlins, was shot and killed inside of a liquor store because she and the owner shot her because Latasha was asking how much a juice was, and the owner just thought she was trying to steal and just grabbed her, and instinctively, I guess, Latasha started punching the store owner, and she finally let her go, and then as she's walking away to leave the store, the owner of the store pulls out a gun and shoots her and kills her.
As the child is walking out of the store.
Correct.
With no merchandise.
Nothing. She left it there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's number 2.
Yeah, and then in the course of that trial, she's convicted. The judge gives her a 10-year sentence. 10-year suspended sentence, I should say. I forget why.
So meaning she did no time?
She did 0 time.
Wow.
The only time she served was the time she spent waiting for her trial. So
that's ridiculous.
After that, people showed up at the judge's house and were protesting at the judge's house. And
so then the Rodney King not guilty verdict was the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was just a shock to everybody.
You lived in the heart of the riots.
Kind of, sort of. At the time, I lived in Hawthorne.
Yeah.
Which isn't too far from where I grew up in Inglewood and South Central LA and stuff like that.
I did have a question from one of the listeners. What did you loot?
Fortunately, nothing. Or unfortunately, nothing. It would have been nice to get a new TV.
But back then, they were so heavy, bro. How were you going to carry it?
I'd have found a way.
Comedy to the side. Explain what you witnessed during these, since you lived in LA.
Okay, so what happened was my friends and I went out to Ontario to see his sister. And she's married, had 2 kids at the time. And as we pull up, her husband is sitting outside, leaned up on his car, shaking his head. And we were like, dude, what's up? What's going on?
And disappointment, I'm assuming.
And in shock. And he was like, they're not guilty. They found the cops not guilty. So we end up going in the house. We're looking at the news, and we see what's going on. And we see people are going crazy. We see people protesting. So we're there for a couple of hours.
So within minutes, people are protesting, I'm assuming?
It was immediate.
Like as soon as switch of a light?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we jump on the freeway. I don't know if I said they lived in Ontario.
Yes, you did.
So we get on the freeway. We're on the 10. We're driving back. And all we can see is smoke rising up into the sky.
As you guys are driving home?
Yeah. So we look like, oh my God, what is going on? We finally get home and we see some stuff as we're driving on the streets. Not too much. But then once you start watching the news, you start to see everything. You see store owners holding their doors open for people to go in and take stuff. They're just like, all right, cool. It's cool if you take stuff. Just don't burn down my building.
Yeah.
You see, there were some owners of a store. I'll never forget seeing this. They were on the roof of their building with guns.
Protecting their building.
Protecting their buildings.
Oh, my God.
This was in Koreatown, what's known as Koreatown now.
Which is on, I'm going to say, the right-hand side of the 101 if you're going north.
Yeah.
Right? Or south.
It's what used to be called Mid Wilshire. It's is pretty close to downtown.
I'm from Oxnard, born and raised, lived in Oxnard my 36 years. Yeah. All I know is the 101 and the 1. So right now when you said Ontario, I'm pointing to the back of my head. It's Ontario's this way. See?
So if you're heading west on the 10, you hit the 110.
Yeah.
Let's say you get off on 6th Street, or better yet, you get off. If you're on Wilshire and you're just heading west on Wilshire, like Wilshire.
Yeah.
So if you head west on Wilshire, it'll take you directly into Koreatown.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all that's on already people up on their businesses with guns.
Yes.
Wow.
Then other places, like I said, opening their doors like, all right, fine, come in here, take the stuff.
Yeah.
And some places, they might have burned down their own buildings for the insurance. Yeah. And it was just like, all right, there's no way I can stop this. Like, I can pull these little bars. They're going to rip them off. They're going to get in here. They're going to take the stuff.
Exactly.
It was stuff like that. Personally, I never saw anybody get attacked. Thankfully, I didn't.
So I was reading that there was about maybe, I'm going to say 63 people were killed. 2,383 people were injured.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Very.
That was just what you witnessed on your way home.
Right.
And I believe the riots lasted about, 6 days?
Yeah.
Up until the Army, National Guard, and everyone came to support the LAPD.
Basically, there was nothing left to loot.
Yeah. So what were you doing once you got home? I mean, because I'm assuming you were going home. You said you didn't loot anything. So
no. Well, I lived with my mother, and
you were how old this time back then?
I was 21.
21. Okay.
So I'm going to go out here and see what's going on.
Yeah.
She was like, no, you're not going anywhere. You staying your ass in this house, and you watching this TV with the rest of us. So, and my brother and his girlfriend happened to be at the house, and she was like, well, we're not letting you go home either, to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she stayed with us for a couple of days, and then finally,
did her family their family at least know where she was at?
Yeah, I believe she called her family's like, look, I'm over at my boyfriend's house. Da, 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 da.
Okay.
So we're just watching the news, and we're seeing, like I said, people are going in stores, furniture stores, taking couches and beds. You've never seen such unity amongst all ethnicities, all groups. They were looting together.
Yeah.
It was a unity of looting is what it was. It was just like black people, white people, brown people. Everybody was looting. They were looting from L.A. to Orange County, San Bernardino, Ventura. Everywhere they were looting.
Right.
I remember seeing the news even up in San Francisco. People were looting.
That's crazy.
Across the country, some places across the country, people were looting. Were rioting. It was crazy. So,
well, no, I mean, with this with this George Floyd thing, man. I mean, back in the '92, I lived in Oxnard.
Right.
We didn't see anything boarded up in Oxnard.
Right.
The Rodney King thing. I'm driving down in La Puente here to go do my job or whatever, just driving in town, and everything's boarded up. CVS, Northgate, Smart and Final, tire shops. They're getting ready for the protest that's about to happen,
right?
Expecting the worst.
Yeah.
Luckily, nothing happened in La Puente, but again, what I said to my sister-in-law was back in '92, there was way more fires.
Yeah.
Way more fires.
Yeah.
that was, again, I'm just watching the coverage on TV, and I'm watching, I think there was like a Radio Shack that got bashed into, or Circus City that was bashed into, and they took out stuff. And I recall watching it live while it was happening. I think there was this trucker, it was a white trucker. They pulled him out of his truck and they whooped the heck out of him. It wasn't even his fault, but just because the color of his skin.
They claim he said Rodney King deserved it. There was some story like that, and there's no evidence to prove that he did, and there's no
evidence that he didn't.
Mm-hmm. So even still, don't pull a dude out of his truck and beat the shit out of him.
No,
you damn near killed the guy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And one guy even walked up to him with a shotgun and shot him.
Are you serious? He's not the one of the three.
Yeah, there was.
He is
3 dudes who were convicted of almost killing him.
Almost killing, so he didn't die. Okay, that's good.
Have you ever seen the video of it?
I just flashbacks of what I recall, what I remember watching the news, and I'm sure the news cut that part out. Like they only showed us what we wanted, what we needed to see. Yeah, you don't want to show that to a bunch of little kids on TV.
At the time they did.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
again, I was 10 years old, dude. My memories.
Yeah, and I've driven by that intersection a ton of times. Because that's the way I used to have to go to work and come home. Yeah. So Florence and Normandy, so you all know. And if you go by Florence and Normandy now, it looks like nothing ever happened there. Okay. There are other parts of the city where they didn't rebuild whatever business was burned down.
To this day?
Yeah.
We're talking 23 years later?
28 years later.
28 years later. Yeah. My math's off.
So
you can still tell the Rodney King riots were there.
Yeah. They burned down this one corner. I think it was a Payless Shoe Source. They're out of business now, so I think that's what was there, and they just burned it down, and they just never rebuilt there. I think until recently. I think they finally started to build there, and it was like, wow,
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's surreal to have to actually live through something like that. To see that, thankfully, we had nothing after the George Floyd thing. Yeah, is a beautiful thing, and it's a trip because I drive for Uber, and I've gone into very suburban neighborhoods. They were boarded up.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody boarded everything up. And the difference is, like people keep saying, is like, it's because of this pandemic that more people actually got to see this. Yeah. And witness it. And then and that consequently, more people were pissed. Yeah. So it's just like, all right, well, that's a fucked up thing to do to a guy.
No, again, whatever Rodney King did, whatever George Floyd did, no one deserves to die. No one deserves to die. No. And well, luckily Rodney King didn't die because of that. But he did pass away
years later.
8 years ago, I believe. Yeah. He drowned in the pool. No one deserves to die, and I get that people get pissed off, but back to the point about like everyone's seeing it nowadays. There's this page on Facebook, Oxnard News or 805 News, because again, I'm from Oxnard, I follow that page, and they're like, we don't remember this place having so much crime and blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. You don't remember because there wasn't social media back then. Right. I grew up in a town called La Colonia where there was a shooting at the corner every weekend. There was 2 or 3 shootings every weekend. Damn. At I think they call it the Bohemia bar or whatever. It was like a nightclub. Yeah. My mom got her car stolen at gunpoint when my brother's still in the car on that block. So yeah, no, you didn't notice how much crime was in Oxnard because there wasn't social media back then. Right. And not everybody picked up the paper. Right. Now you see everything on social media, and now you're shocked that there's a lot of crime. Dude, back in the day, I couldn't even walk around with a cowboy. The shirt I'm wearing right now, I probably would have got shot at. Because there's a gang in La Colonia. The first 2 letters are CO. You block off the W. Colonia boys. Really? So back in the day, wow, you would get threatened. Damn. If you're wearing a cowboy shirt. And damn. I was a kid. I'm like, who am I representing? My skin is white. I'm a Cowboy fan because I'm a Cowboy fan, not because I am tatted up and am claiming a part of town. I actually got a shirt ripped off of me in high school. Damn. Because it was Cowboys, and I was wearing it in the wrong side of the hood.
Wow. Meanwhile, the Cowboys had their training camp out in Oxnard.
That started in like 2001. But they made a law. They made a law in Oxnard that even whoever's wearing a Cowboy shirt, if it you look shocked. If they're wearing a Cowboy shirt and they look gang affiliated, they're gonna ask them questions. So if I can wear my Cowboy stuff in Oxnard and not get questioned. because even everyone will get questioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to that, man. Yeah, everyone sees it on the news. Everyone sees everything on the news and the news. We were watching the news, and my kids were actually. But I made the mistake of watching the riots with my kids in the same room, because the next morning, Dad, we had a nightmare because we thought somebody was gonna break in the house.
Damn.
So I kind of kept the news to myself in the room.
Right.
I get it. They shouldn't be watching stuff like that.
Damn.
But your mom, back to the 92. Your mom just made you stay home.
Yeah.
You couldn't go out.
No.
Your mom's a tough mama. If she can control her 21-year-old.
Oh, bro, I don't want to take a punch from my mother. Even now, she's 70. I'm not taking that punch. There's certain women whose punch I know I can't take.
Yeah.
My wife, my mother, and my cousin. That's 3 of them.
Your cousin's a female, right?
Yes, she's like 5 feet tall, and she's tough as nails. She's as feminine as they come.
Wow.
She can punch like a mule kick. I'm afraid of her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, there's... My wife's the only person I don't want to piss off.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have to punch me, dude. She just gave me the look.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's like, babe, you have that F you on your face again. I don't want to come near you right now.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah. They're really good at that. But, so you didn't really get to go out on the streets and stuff like that, but what did you learn from the 92 riots, and what can you tell today's kids about that experience?
Well, the main thing I learned is like anger gets you nowhere.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
It got me in jail.
That was all anger, and it was also like you shouldn't do something just because you feel you can. Like, all right, well, they're out here looting and they're taking stuff, so I may as well take stuff too.
Yeah.
Don't do nothing like that. That's corny. Like I like earning my things. I like buying my things legitimately. If somebody wants to come and sell me something off the street, like, nah, I'm cool. I need a warranty.
Yeah.
I need a receipt. I can take it back if it doesn't work. And I also learned that like all this protesting, it gets us nowhere. It's like, okay, you're out marching, but the powers that be are just looking at you like, ooh, they're out there getting exercise.
Yeah.
If you want to make change in the system, you have to become a part of the system.
Yeah.
You have to get into the system and make changes and show people, hey, listen, all black people ain't like that. All brown people aren't like that. All white people aren't like that. All gay people aren't like that.
And that's what my brother-in-law came on the podcast, episode 11.
Right.
He feels that he needs to explain himself and then explain the actions of his partners.
Right.
Because he is an officer. He is an LAPD officer. And he had to be out there trying to control the protesters and make sure nobody got out of control. He feels like, hey, dude, can I come back on the podcast? I feel like I need to speak on my behalf. I'm like, and this guy, like I said, this guy collects Pokemon cards. This guy collects Lego sets. I mean, my kids want a Lego set because he has the same Lego set. He wants a Millennium Falcon. I'm like, that's like $700. You tripping? Or the Death Star. I'm like, you know, kind of cost me a lot of money there. That's a lot.
Afterpay,
right?
Or something like that.
He like, again, anger, it doesn't lead you to anywhere.
No.
It led me to jail again.
Yeah. Learn to just walk away sometimes. Yeah. Like all cops aren't like that. They're not all bad. I've dealt with some bad cops. Not that I've gotten the crap beaten out of me, thank God. The worst cop I dealt with was still kind of a cool cop. He kept asking me if I had a gun in my car. Like every time it's no. And it was a new car. I just got in the car and I just got the plates. Yeah. And you know, when they send you the plates, they send the plates stacked on each other. Yeah. So I thought I had gotten one plate.
And you didn't have it on you.
Yeah. And he goes, well, you only have one plate on your car and you don't have the front one. So go check with the DMV, see what's what. Yeah. And he let me go without a ticket.
Right.
But
he kept on asking you about a gun.
Yeah. So, but I was like, all right, big deal. I kind of understand that. I just dropped my coworker off at work, and my coworker lived in kind of a gang infested area.
So, in a way, did you feel like they were classifying you, or like, obviously, did you take offense to it? I mean, the way I saw it, they're doing their job.
Yeah, I understand he's doing his job, but after the second time you asked me, dude, I ain't got no gun. Yeah. I guess he was expecting me to say, go ahead and search the car.
Gotcha.
Like, look, man.
They want permission.
Yeah, I was tired. I wanted to go home and kick back and watch TV or something.
There you go.
But he was still cool even after all of that. It's just like, all right, I've asked him 3 times. All 3 times he said no. Yeah. He's been really cooperative. He's not giving me any attitude. Because I'm guessing, like, sometimes when he asks people that, they give him attitude.
Yeah.
I was just calm, cool, and collected. Like, no, sir, I don't have a gun.
Don't have a gun.
I'm not even registered to have a gun. I haven't bought a gun. I've only shot one on New Year's Eve. That was with blanks.
Yeah.
And another cop I dealt with was when I lived in Hawthorne. I'm flying home from work, and he pulled me over. He's like, "Where are you going so fast?" I go, "Home." He's like, "Why are you driving so fast?" "I got to go to the bathroom." He was like, "Okay, but just slow down a little bit."
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you learn, don't let your anger control.
Yeah, exactly. Like in any situation.
Because all of that, 75% of LA was on fire. For what? The guys were convicted anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, a year later.
Yeah, they were tried, for those that don't know, they were taken by the federal government, charged them with violating Rodney King's civil rights.
Okay.
So, and they were convicted for that. And I think they served like 2 years or so or something like that. And then, of course, they would never let them back on the force. And
Of course not.
that was it.
And then I think this LA County or LA City, the city of LA awarded Mr. Rodney King $3.8 million in damages. That's good for him. Sadly that he came across this money with a broken leg and a messed up face.
Yeah.
It's crazy that, like I tell Officer Ricky, man, it's like people can't punish or blame all officers for one bad apple.
Right.
They don't. Some cities want to get rid of police altogether. What is that going to do? Officer Ricky said that in the time that people were rioting, just the officers distracted with the rioters, there was like 200+% on murder. The murder rate went up in those few days.
Damn.
Imagine if there's no police officers. Would the purge again?
Okay, I understand if you have a wholly corrupt police department. Okay, fine, get rid of the cops.
Yeah, but when it's one bad apple.
Yeah, and remember, police have a union, so they're hard to fire.
Yeah.
And they have to go through a whole bunch of... Anytime anybody has a union, it becomes difficult to fire them because the union's going to back them and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to say that I'm like anti-union. I'm pro-union. I was a member of a union for a little bit, but it's difficult to get rid of bad people when you're supposed to be upholders of the law, because people look at police as, oh, they're the good guys. They're protecting us from the crime and all this other stuff. And no, some of them are going to be shitty too.
Yeah.
They're going to be bad. They're going to be horrible. There was one cop I read about that got convicted of rape because he was using his position as a police officer to violate women. So like, hopefully this dude doesn't get his pension. Hopefully he wasn't on long enough to get his pension.
Yeah.
And just fuck that dude. Hopefully he gets raped in prison, or
he will.
Or best case scenario, he gets therapy and understands why he did the fucked up shit he did.
Yeah.
So it's just there's good people, bad people. It's just the way it is.
It's just a matter of, thinking positive.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Right.
That's what I did.
Yes.
That's what you're doing. That's what everyone on my podcast has been doing.
Yes.
So, Erik, man, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing a piece of history, and thank you for riding with me.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
No problem, bud.
Thank you for listening to Ride With Me, the Flat Tire Indie Podcast. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean.